Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Gold Rush Ness makes big sacrifice to chase gold dreams. Gold Rush fans were disappointed last season when Ness didn't return to the show. However, Ness was dealing with some mental health issues. He appeared in one episode and explained what was going on to his crew. It sounds like Rick is trying to move on and is back this season. Here is a look at the sacrifice Rick had to make to return to Gold Rush this season. Ness returning to Gold Rush this season. Ness is back on Gold Rush this season after sitting out last season. He did actually appear in one episode last season when his crew showed up at his home to ask him what he was doing. Rick explained he suffered from seasonal affective disorder, which is a form of depression. This affects people based on the changing of seasons. It affects people at a specific time every year and is usually dependent on people whose jobs are during specific seasons. However, Rick also had another problem he was dealing with. He was seeing therapists and realized he hadn't been to his mother's home since her death the previous year. Rick owned her home since her death, but he said he hadn't stepped foot in it since she died and realized that this was part of the personal trauma that he struggled with. He admitted the depression arrived after his mom died, and he had not reconciled the death yet 1 year later. This season, Rick returns to Gold Rush and he has dealt with part of the trauma. Rick sold his mother's home to finance his return to mining this season. That was one of the things I had to come to terms with, Rick said via TV Insider. He said that he kept putting it off and that was the wrong thing to do. I walked through that door, packed her house up, and took what I wanted to remember my mom by. Then I had to sell the house to ultimately fund my comeback here. What to expect on new season of Gold Rush? Ness said that he has his memories, but a house is a house. Now that house has allowed him to return to mining, which is his true journey. He said he built a new team from scratch. He said this was important because he trusted too easily in the past. This season should see Rick working with a new set of miners. Rick also said that he wants to send a message to fans this season on Gold Rush. He wants to make sure that he lets people know it is not embarrassing to ask for help if someone is dealing with mental health issues. There should be no stigma attached. This is what happened to me. I wasn't going to hide from it. Rick said. I think if other people see that, maybe it will help them too. The sun was just beginning to rise over the jagged peaks of the Alaskan wilderness, casting long golden shadows across the landscape. The air was crisp, carrying with it the promise of another arduous day. Ness stood at the edge of his claim, the weight of his decision heavy on his shoulders. His journey to this moment had been filled with challenges, but he was prepared to make the biggest sacrifice of his life to chase his gold dreams. Ness wasn't a stranger to hard work. Before his gold mining days, he was a diesel mechanic and a musician, pounding away on the bass guitar for a band that traveled across the country. His entry into the world of gold mining came almost by accident, through a friendship with Parker Schnebel, a prominent figure in the gold mining community. It was Parker who first introduced Rick to the allure of the Klondike, and the rest, as they say, was history. However, the transition from music to mining wasn't an easy one. Rick traded in his guitar for heavy machinery, swapping out the roar of the crowd for the deafening rumble of excavators and bulldozers. The glamorous life on the road was replaced with the harsh, unforgiving terrain of the Alaskan wilderness. Yet despite the hardships, Rick found a new rhythm in the relentless pursuit of gold. His first few seasons were tough. There were days when the sluice boxes ran empty and nights when the cold seeped into his bones, making him question his choices, but Rick was nothing if not determined. He had a fire in his belly, a burning desire to succeed, not just for himself, but for his crew. He knew that their livelihoods depended on the success of their operation. The turning point came when Rick decided to strike out on his own. It was a bold move, fraught with risk. leaving the security of Parker Schnibble's team and stepping into uncharted territory. But Rick had a vision, a dream of striking it rich and proving to himself and the world that he could do it. The decision wasn't just about gold. It was about independence, self-reliance, and the pursuit of something greater. Rick's new venture started off with high hopes and relentless ambition. He assembled a crew, handpicking individuals who shared his passion and work ethic. Together, they tackled the challenges head-on, facing everything from equipment breakdowns to the fickle nature of the gold itself. The first season was a learning curve, filled with trials and errors. Yet every setback only fueled Rick's determination to push forward. As the seasons went by, Rick's operation began to see success. They hit pay dirt more frequently, and the gold started flowing. But with success came new challenges. Running a gold mine required constant attention, and the demands of the job were relentless. The long hours and physical toll began to weigh heavily on Rick. His personal life suffered, relationships strained under the pressure of his all-consuming dream. It was during one particularly grueling season that Rick faced a moment of reckoning. The crew had been working around the clock, driven by the promise of a rich vein of gold. The physical exhaustion was palpable, and tempers ran high. Rick knew that something had to give. He had to make a choice: continue pushing his crew and himself to the brink, or make a sacrifice that could change everything. The sacrifice Rick decided to make was profound. He chose to step back from the daily grind, delegating more responsibilities to his trusted crew members. It wasn't an easy decision for someone as hands-on and driven as Rick, but he recognized the necessity of it. He needed to find a balance to ensure the well-being of his crew and his own mental and physical health. Rick's decision to step back allowed him to refocus on what truly mattered. He spent more time strategizing, planning for the future, and ensuring that his operation was sustainable in the long run. It also gave him the opportunity to reconnect with the world outside of gold mining. He rekindled relationships, spent time with loved ones, and found solace in the simple joys of life that he had long neglected. The sacrifice paid off. Rick's operation continued to thrive, and the crew, empowered by the trust and responsibility bestowed upon them, rose to the occasion. It worked with renewed vigor, driven by the respect and camaraderie that Rick had fostered. The gold flowed more consistently, and the success they achieved was sweeter for the sacrifices made along the way. Rick Ness's story is a testament to the power of dreams and the sacrifices one must make to achieve them. His journey from a musician to a gold miner is a remarkable tale of resilience, determination, and the relentless pursuit of a dream. The sacrifices he made along the way were not just physical but emotional and personal, reflecting the true cost of chasing one's passions. As the sun set over the Alaskan wilderness, casting a golden hue across the land, Rick stood once